This video I'm going to show how to cape out a deer. I'm going to be showing kind of the Y incision. You start at the back of the antler on one side, cut back, do the same on the other, kind of meet here, and we'll just make a Y. So if you're out in the woods, this is the good method to cape for your taxidermist if you're out of state trying to head back where you can't take the brain matters. Cape it out, cut your antlers off, leave the brain there, and then dispose of it how you need to in your state. If you're taking it to the taxidermist and you don't have to worry about that, you probably want to just let the taxidermist go ahead and skin it the way they want to, because there's several different ways to skin it. But this is a good method for if you're transporting it back into a state where you're not allowed to, kind of like CWD or something. So you're just going to kind of take your knife, work right up to the antler. And you'll make half the Y here. And you just kind of want to work them where they meet. Then you can pull the little flap that we made and skin that forward a little bit. And we'll go ahead and skin our Y back. I usually skin it just about to where the neck, as long as they didn't leave a huge chunk of neck meat in here. That'll just save you a little bit of time. If you have a really big chunk of neck meat that was left in there, you probably don't want to go super far down and just work it a little bit different, but then we're just going to take our skin, kind of pull against it, and skin back each way a little bit. You definitely want to make sure that we're not cutting holes in the hide or anything like that. And once you have it kind of pulled and you have a little gap, you want to take a flat screwdriver. You're just going to kind of work it in that little incision, kind of twist it. Twist it back. What this will do will help prevent you from accidentally cutting the skin here around the antler burr. And you can see it peels off pretty easily once you're in there. Once we're the whole way around, we'll work it over here to the other antler burr and repeat the process. Now we have both antler burrs cleared off. We'll go ahead and get this skinned out. Work your ears back a little bit, but you want to cut, you can kind of feel where they wiggle. So you want to cut them pretty close to the skull. You don't want to cut them too far out. You want to be as close to the ear canal as you can. So that you can get, so that you're leaving that inner skin. Repeat the same thing on this other ear. We're just going to work the skin over the neck meat here. The next thing we're going to get to is the eyes. We want to be pretty careful. There, we don't want to cut any of this eye skin here, because then that leaves a hole to patch. And it's something you can patch, but if it's not there, you don't have to worry about a patch job or anything in there. So once we kind of get to that point, I like to kind of stick my finger in there a little bit to know where I'm at. And I do kind of cut towards the bone at this point. And then we'll get into the eye here. Just working the whole way around, making sure you don't get any eye skins. Once you get to the front of the eye, you have the and once you get in the front of the eye, you'll kind of see the nictitating membrane here. A lot of times I'll leave that on and I'll tan it and I'll use it later. There's different ways to preserve it if you're using the real nictitating membranes, but I usually leave it on when I'm skinning, and I just go through the tanning process with it on. Once you get to the front of the eye, once you get here in the front of the eye, you have the duct area, and you just want to be very careful there again. You're going to be cutting towards the bone. Because this is a very easy spot to put a hole in your hide. But if you cut towards the bone, you don't really have to worry about it. And then we're to the front of here. We'll go ahead and skin it a little bit. We'll flip this over. We'll go ahead and do the other eye here. Same thing, once you get the nictitating membrane, just leave it on the skin here for now. And be careful once you get into the duct area. You want to be cutting right against the bone there. The more your hide's intact with no holes in it, the easier it is to make it look nice. You don't have to cover anything up. But even if you do have a couple little holes, for the most part they do sew in. But you do want to be very, very careful as you do it. Okay. Now once we are past the eyes, I will pull this back here a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut from the outside here. I'm going to cut right along the inside of the lips here. Along the edge, and then here at the septum of the nose, I'm just going to cut along the bottom here and work it back a little bit. We'll do the same thing here on the bottom lip. And we're doing the same thing here on the bottom lip. And once we have it so far, we're going to go ahead and flip it from the other side, and we'll work it off that way. You can kind of see the lip skin here. We're just going to take our knife and cut right through there. And that should lead us pretty much to where we quit cutting on the other side. Flip it over, do the same thing. Now, that'll get us our head caped out. Work this the whole way through. Okay. That gets our head caped out. At this point, we're pretty much ready to give it to your taxidermist. They can skin it. If you're skinning it yourself, you'll have to do your thinning and stuff. But if you're giving this cape to a taxidermist, you're hauling it across state, you can go ahead and freeze it now. But if you'd have any chunks of meat on there, you want to try to get rid of those before you freeze it. It'll just help you prevent any slippage issues down the road. You just want to get all the meat off of it before you freeze it. If you have meat on the hide, it can lead to hair slippage and you end up having to get a new cape or something. But that is how you do the Y incision. We'll cut the antlers off of that and you'd be ready to take it home.